here to our book reconsideration committee today. Let's start by saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Started. So first, I have up here House Bill 1069, the criteria for reconsideration. I'm going to take this a moment while I look this over. I know everybody's familiar with it, but let's take a look at it again. And here we have Florida statute at 847.001. Take a moment so everyone can read this. Two books that we're going to be looking at, Not My Problem and Infandus. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
All right, and just a reminder that if you are in our audience today, we're happy to have you here, but you are here as observers only. Thank you.
Before you came here, Paul, we talked about the tentative date of August 16th, and then we got two books here that we've only got one copy from each school, so if we can buy copies for you.
August 16th?
Yeah.
Fine as far as I know.
Okay. So we can buy the copies, or
What are they?
it's people kill people, or if you're able to get them.
Yeah, no, I'll end up reading them.
Okay.
On Kindle order, so yeah, don't worry about that for me.
Okay, and when we finish today, Ms. Harris will send out an email that and also, so the other members will know. So August 16th, same time. I believe we have this room again too. Okay, so good afternoon, welcome. I'm Trish Ely and Missy Slack, the Library Media Content Specialist. We will facilitate today's meeting, and as a reminder, we do not have a vote. The two books we are reviewing today are Not My Problem by Sierra Smith and Infandus by Elena Arnold. I want to remind the committee's responsibility. Sorry, I'm looking at two different sheets here. It is the committee's responsibility for the book being reconsidered to make the recommendation to the board to either keep, remove, or other for Brevard Public Schools classrooms and libraries by a majority vote. I want to take this opportunity to remind the public that their role in this meeting is an observer. The audience needs to remain quiet so the committee members may be heard. Each committee member will have the opportunity to speak once each member has had his or her chance to speak and any lingering issues have been discussed. Then I will then call for a vote. So it's now time for each committee member to have his or her opportunity to speak. We'll begin with the book Not My Problem by Sierra Smith. You want to go first?
I can go first. So this book I didn't feel like was as bad as some of the ones that we've read. It's the story of a troubled girl. We all read the book. Her family life is not ideal. Not having her father around, him popping in and out. Her mom being an alcoholic, whatever. So, like I said, it's not the worst book we've read, but my only thing is, where is the level of sexual content that we're okay with having in our schools? And for me, I don't know. I mean, that statute is pretty broad about what kind of sexual content is allowed in the school and what is not. So for me, this one's on the line.
Well, that's kind of mine. I mean, it's more of her journey into life with an LGBTQ. So there's some discussion about sex and sexuality. It was basically topics around alcoholism, I put bullying, but not really explicit sexual. That's kind of where I think the thing is basically on. And there's some mild discussion about just typical in this world of high school, unfortunately. So I didn't see it as something that should be totally removed. It definitely is for a little older. How many of these are in? Like, is like everybody have one of these books, or is this one of these one or two?
How many are in the schools?
Well, I mean, because I know like the other ones you said there's only one copy.
Not my copy, or not my problem. There are 6 copies in the district.
Yeah, so it's not like it's on every shelf. You'd have to, going through this, reading it is probably a very common thing kids are going through. So I don't see it as a major thing.
Yeah, for me, this one was, well, like you both said, fairly mild in terms of the content. I want to talk about the challenge a little bit because these start somewhere, and this is definitely one of those where nothing in this challenge indicates that whoever wrote, well, I mean, I know who originally challenged it, but whoever resubmitted, they didn't read the book. Or certainly didn't understand the sections that they're challenging. Apart from my fear is that people will read this and do illegal drugs as though books are instruction manuals. I believe this is the one where they just, what's your objections? I don't know, here's the book looks page. And it's one of those where you can sort of tell that these sections were found by a keyword search. We have kids jokingly talking about, I can get crack at a party. You don't even know crack, there wasn't even a party. An overachiever imagining, this life that they clearly never would or want to lead. And then that's listed as an objection, as though it's seriously suggesting this. This is not the sign that a human being put these quotes together. So even with the, so even the whatever, the porn bot or whatever is pulling these quotes out couldn't find too much to work with, and there's at least half of the quotes that are pulled out are clearly ironic in intent, and interesting that of the things that they are worried about, that somehow somebody's going to read these people joking about meth and want to go do it. We have a pretty significant plot point where one of these girls decide that one of them is going to push the other down the stairs to get her injured and get her out of some responsibilities. And that's actually, and that works out okay. That's not quoted as a concern or anything like that. That's something the book almost, that doesn't, of course, it's far as its humor. Nobody's gonna read this and come away with the idea that they should do that. But if we're pretending that books suggest people do the things that are depicted in them, it's funny that the thing that the book actually comes close to advocating isn't even in the list. So, I don't think the book should be removed anyway. But also, I mean, there's this challenge was there's no thought behind this other than keywords, and this is one of the ones where I feel like ours and soon the board's time is being wasted by this. I wish there was a requirement that people had actually read the book.
Is this book only in high school?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 5 high schools.
So I'm ready to make a vote.
You ready to vote? Okay. All right, I will call on each committee member to give a verbal vote for recommendation on the book Not My Problem by Sierra Smith to keep, remove, or other. Michelle?
I would say other, but in high school.
Katie?
Remove.
Paul?
Keep, since it's already
It's already there.
it's already only in high schools.
So we have 1 other, 1 remove, and 1 keep.
Mine's got to keep because it's already high school, because that's where it's at. Just not
So
going to
you
go
want-
down to lower level, so.
So is your vote keep? Or is it?
Yeah, if it's only gonna be in high school,
Yeah.
then,
Keep
yeah,
where it currently
that makes
is.
sense.
Okay. All right, so we have 2 to keep, 1 remove. The committee recommends to the Brevard Public School Board that the book Not My Problem by Sierra Smith to be kept in high school. Okay, so that brings us to the second book, which is Infandus. Anyone want to start the conversation for that book?
Well, I'll start that one because this one I had more. Because it's definitely, it's about the emotional depth with a lot of mature themes and varied topics of sexual exploration and trauma. And I, kind of label it as dark with intense contents, definitely immature. You have to really, I just don't think that, unless you understand. So as I read it, I was just kind of like going, she's struggling with the secret of being, anytime you have to deal with some of those stronger, unspeakable events that you don't want to have to, and then you go through the trauma with your mom, and there's just so much that was gone into it. I kind of felt that her real life entwining with the mythological and fairy tale-ness was her way of kind of avoiding some of this stuff, and it was a dark read. It was kind of that thing where I kind of quite sure I'd want someone who may experience the same situation to read it and be sitting in the back of the library at the school or something. I have to try to decide on how I'd want my daughters to deal with it. There's just a lot of deep traumatic sexual molestation and definitely a mature reading book. So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it was one I didn't care for too much.
I kind of felt the same way. It was kind of similar to the one that we had last time. Just really dark. And I just don't feel like that's something we need in our schools. So.
I mean, I didn't love the book, but that was, I'm not the audience. I thought the themes that it touched on were interesting. It was, a lot of it was written, some of it was fairly telegraphed, but that's not a literary review. Again, on the subject of the challenge, you've got a lot of keyword searchy things, but probably the most disturbing element of the book, the incest revelation, isn't mentioned in there anywhere. Which again, don't think this book was challenged by somebody who read it. I mean, the original challenger admitted she hadn't read most of the books, so. But we were here taking it more seriously than they did. This is not one unusually with some of these, because some of these are, I don't know if this is less popular or less well known. I don't know. I don't actually know any kids that have read this. Usually there's at least one of the many friends hanging around saying, "Oh, I read that. I loved it." I don't know it. No, I wouldn't. If my daughter wanted to read it, that'd be fine. But again, that's me as a parent having that opinion with my child. But I don't want to take that choice away from others, as it were. I assume this book is only in high schools at the moment.
This book
Is that correct?
there are currently no copies in the district.
Oh.
Yeah.
There were 2, but the 2 schools during the informal, or I believe it was in December, they weeded it because it had no checkouts.
Okay.
So when we asked for the books, they decided to weed it because there were no checkouts. So there are no copies in the district.
I
So
think that's wonderful.
so there's self-selection. I would vote to keep in theory, You know, if someone, you know, again, if somebody who knows the library, knows their kids, knows the students, wants to bring that back into the library, I would leave that at their discretion. Obviously, it's pretty theoretical at this point. There were some challenging and interesting things that were dealt with. I thought that they dealt with the alcoholic mom in a somewhat more sensitive, which it's not like a sensitive, subtle book, but I thought there was some stuff that was handled better than a lot of these type of books do. So there's some value there. I would to keep an original. And again, I wish there was some. I don't know how you prove somebody read the book before challenging it, but this person did.
Ready to vote?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will call on each committee member to give a verbal vote for recommendation on the book. Infandus, spelling by Elena Arnold, to keep, remove, or other. Michelle?
Remove.
Katie?
Remove.
Paul?
Keep.
Okay, so 2 remove and 1 keep. So the committee recommends to the Broward Public School Board that the book Infandus by Elena Arnold to be removed. Okay, so August 16th is our next tentative date, and if you will do People Kill People and Damsel, and if you have any problems getting a copy, just let us know. We'll make sure you get one. Thank you. And meeting adjourned.
Beautiful.
Anybody have any books?
That's all I
Thank
had.
you.
Yeah.